The selection screen for Mortal Kombat.EXE. I've always been a fan of Mortal Kombat games, especially the Mortal Kombat Project games, but not anymore. In fact, I even hate hearing about the game. One day I was surfing for the web for some games for my emulators, and I came upon a game called Mortal Kombat.EXE. I'm not going to give out the link for safety of you and your computer, but anyways, I thought it would be boring and dull, but when I looked at the RAM and looked it up, it said that it takes 2 gigabytes. So I thought to myself that the game would be exciting because I've never downloaded a Mortal Kombat game that took so much memory. So I clicked on the download link and started to download the game. Surprisingly, it took over 44 hours for the entire game to download. The download was finished, but that's when things got weird. The download box popped up letting me know that the download was finished, so I clicked run. Then my laptop screen burst into static and then started playing frequently a high-pitched sound. The laptop literally went black and I grunted to myself in anger, trying to turn my laptop back on. After a few tries, my laptop finally turned on. It was the same as before, but except the game was on my desktop. So I thought to myself that my laptop probably just crashed from the large download. So I clicked on the game and started to play. But there was no music playing. The screen showed Goro and there was to be the words arcade versus practice, options, and exit. So I clicked on arcade and the Mortal Kombat arcade theme burst out of the speakers violently, nearly shaking my whole house. So I muted my computer, thinking nothing of sound what came up of. I couldn't believe it. The character selection screen showed up, showing the total of 276 characters. I was amazed. This was the best Mortal Kombat game ever. I then selected one of my favorite characters, Chameleon. There were only 6 versions of him, so I chose the Mortal Kombat Trilogy Chameleon. Then a box on the selection screen popped up saying choose stage, and there was a total of 500 stages, making the game better. So I choose to play my favorite place in Mortal Kombat 1, the pit. When I selected the stage, Shao Kahn's voice says, "Good choice, Lane." And those two things popped into my head. One, how did he know my name? And second, how did his voice come up with it through my speakers are muted? Then that's when the loading screen came up and I had to fight Hydro, a Mortal Kombat Project character. I started fighting and got to the point where Shao Kahn's voice said, "Finish him." Then a box popped up showing the list of names. It was one of my friends named Jordan. So I clicked on Jordan just for fun, and another box came up saying choose fatality. Then a box popped up saying fatality 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and stage fatality. I thought it was awesome that every character had 10 fatalities with a stage finisher, so I chose stage fatality. When I clicked stage fatality, it showed my character Chameleon uppercutting Hydro, causing him to fall into the pit spikes at the bottom. When he hit the ground, realistic blood shot out. He screamed in agony, but Hydro's voice nearly broke my speakers. That it was so loud. I was angry that I kept hearing those noises from the game as I muted my computer. Confused as to why the noises were so loud, then the words "Chameleon wins, fatality" come up on screen, but there was no Shao Kahn's name of the fatality. Then Shao Kahn's voice came up saying, "You'll never win, Lane." And then that's when I heard a loud and a bunch of pop-ups saying, Mortal Kombat.exe is not responding. I came up and crashed in my laptop. I was frightened. I tried to turn my laptop back on, but it would not power on. I thought that it might have been a virus. Angrily, I put my laptop, thinking that I would try and fix it in the morning, since I'm good with computers. I then went to bed, trying to sleep, but still thinking about why the game knew my name. I woke up to a ringing voice. It was my iPhone 4. I looked at the phone to check what time it is. It was 2:30 a.m. I then answered the phone to hear my friend's mom crying. I asked her to tell me what's the matter, and she said that the siren sound in the background. She told me that the sirens were police and ambulances and sirens, that Jordan was dead and had several large holes in his body. I bolted downstairs trying to turn on my laptop, but then a message popped up saying, "Thank you for playing, Lane, but I told you, you will never win." I was screaming and crying in horror and despair, and several messages popped up saying, "Never. The worst thing that's ever happened to me." But pictures of dead adults and even other people popped up on my screen. Then a message box popped up saying, "Look at him." Then a picture of my friend Jordan was shown, and he was in a really messed up state. which was pretty graphic. He also had a lot of the parts all over the place. The screen that went to black and Mortal Kombat front came up saying Lane wins fatality. Then the screen went to black. This is a reconstruction of last screen Lane would have seen. It has been 4 months since the incident, and I am traumatized from it, just like anyone else would. The police found the man who killed Jordan. Oddly, he was the creator of the game I downloaded. Yesterday, I was flipping through channels on my TV and saw Jordan's killer on court on a TV show. I had to watch. After about 5 minutes, the judge asked him what he had to say before he was sentenced to death. He responded by looking at the camera and saying, "Lane, you will never win," violently laughing as the bell took him away. And that, my little pretties, was Mortal Kombat.EXE, a Mortal Kombat creepypasta. My final thoughts on this story? Well, I was gonna call this a creepypasta, but for some reason, when I looked at this myself, I find this to be more of a troll pasta than a creepypasta. And I am going to be stating my reasons why I find this one to be more of a troll pasta than a creepypasta. Now, basically, this is about an episode of... This is basically about a person having a terrifying experience while playing Mortal Kombat.EXE. Now, I know that this story is most likely a troll pasta because of the way it went out. It was basically making fun of, the content and the stuff that, and cliches and that, putting stupid stuff such as, what was it? Oh yeah, such as saying, "Oh, my computer blew up," or "My friend Jordan died," or something. Like, I could already tell that this was a troll pasta from when I first read this story. And I honestly have to say, this one was a pretty good troll pasta for what this Mortal Kombat game is. However, I do have some things that are good that I would like to say. Now, one of them being that the grammar of the story is good, but I would have to say the sentence structuring was alright for the most part. It was just, pardon me and my apologies for that. I had something in my throat, or a tickle in my throat. So basically what is, the whole, the sentence structuring, it was good. But I realized that there were, places that should have been either periods or commas, or they were just all over the place. And, I mean, there were even parts of the story that was a bit hard to read. So, yeah, that's kind of why I have to knock that down a point because of that. But it's a really funny troll pasta from what I've seen. Now, I have seen some narrations of this story, and I have to say, like, I really enjoyed the narrations that other people did on this story, and it's a pretty well made story. I'm not gonna lie. It's a pretty good story. Like, I really do like how, how silly that this story was, made out to be, a troll pasta. Now, if it was a creepypasta, then I would have, explained, my thoughts on this. But this is more of a funny of a troll pasta than anything. I really have to say that this, to be honest, I remember reading this story, I think, a month ago, and I have to say this story was definitely interesting. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it did have an interesting concept for, how this story was and that. So it was definitely something. I'm just gonna definitely say that now, that I really do like how this story went out. It's a pretty interesting concept for how this story really was. It had a pretty good, interesting, the concept itself and everything about it. It's pretty interesting for what this is. Now, I definitely would have to say that the story was pretty good. I do have to say it's not a terrible story, so there's definitely that. It's not a terrible story. I find this one to be, quite enjoyable. But I would like to suggest maybe to the author of the story and maybe fix up the sentence structuring just a bit, because there were parts of the story that was a little bit hard for me to read at certain parts. Like, maybe that might be just me, but, just thought, I'd sit there and, point that out. Another thing I would have to say was that I really like how that the story itself had a pretty interesting, well, concept for what this story is. I really do find that this story actually had a really interesting, well, concept of the whole story itself. So, I'm just gonna sit here and say this right now. I remember reading this, I believe, when I was like maybe 17 or 18, and I actually at first used to think that the story was like trash, but now I really find this to be a really good troll pasta. Now, I believe I remember Shadow narrated this at one point on his old channel. I'm not really sure because it's been like quite a long time since I last sat there and, well, read this story or heard of Shadow's narration or something on his channel. Well, his old one before it was terminated. But I really would have to say that I really do like the whole concept of the story. I really do like how, the whole concept of the story to be, it's an interesting story. I really do like how everything of this story went out. Like, I like the good grammar that was used in the story, along with the sentence structuring, the storyline. Basically, everything about it just went out. It's a really interesting story. Well, it's an interesting story as regards to troll pastas. So, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say. Like, I can't seem to find anything I didn't like about it. Well, besides the fact that, well, the sentence structuring just needs to be fixed up at certain parts. Like, I mean, it's not terrible. The grammar is good and all that. And I really do like how it all went out. It's a pretty good troll pasta. But like I'm always going to say, and like I will always continue to say, that this is just simply my own personal opinion. And if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas. And this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. It's a really good concept. It's really funny. It's a pretty good troll pasta. And I have to say, I think this is one of the original troll pastas. I'm not sure. But it's a really well-made troll pasta for what this is. I really do find that this story actually had a pretty good, what's going for it. It's really amazing. Well done. It's just, I really do like how this story portrayed. It's a really good troll pasta. It's really good, well made. Just flat out really enjoy this story. So, I think with that being the case, to that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta or troll pasta, whatever you decide to prefer to call this one? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what would you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me now what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so that you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro, because I'm out.